What is good, my people, my peeps? Who is up? Who is up? Let's talk. You know, sometimes y'all will catch these late night live streams just randomly. Yeah, you'll catch them. So, the topic for this late night live stream is called Encounters with Special Forces Intelligence, Today, I said that I was going to come to you all, and we were going to have a movie night, but it just and I did a live stream. If you caught that live stream earlier, you knew that I did like a short mukbang haul, Oriental grocery store haul, and I was washing clothes and all of that today. But after that haul, I just encountered special forces once again. Intelligence once again. I truly do not believe in coincidences. I don't. I believe people that have crossed your path, whether they be NPCs or bots or whomever, intelligence, special forces, it's a reason why people cross your path. Either it's for a reason or for a season, right? Um, or just because. Maybe they break code. Maybe they break code. But I've always, and it's so interesting that I don't know if it's because I was raised an army brat, um, just the military slang for a child raised in the military. I don't know if it's because I was raised as an army brat that is the reason why. I don't know. Special forces or intelligence pop in and out of my life. So, but it's interesting that today was the second day that I met someone in the military from intelligence. But let me rewind real quick because just a few weeks ago, I was in Ross shopping, looking just me, just shopping, just like everybody else. Some days you just doing you, you know. Like I said, I don't believe in coincidences. And as soon as I walked into Ross, I'm looking around and I look up and there's this gentleman that I had met about a year ago. And I mean, just like clockwork, like right in front of me, like clockwork. I was like, oh. At first, I was just trying to run in and run out. So when your mind is on something else, you're not really trying to pay attention to. I mean, you're paying attention, but you're not paying attention to people. You know what I'm saying? And but just directly in front of my path as I look up, and I look and I kind of look away. But you know how you do a double take? And then he speaks. He says, "Oh, hey, haven't seen you in a minute." I was like, "Oh, yeah." But I really wasn't truly up for the small talk, but I knew the small talk was going to come. You know, how you talk to someone at your job or at the water cooler, you know, that old saying, you're just there. How's the weather today, Bob? Oh, it's great, Jim. Small talk. You ain't really saying nothing. So, like I said, a couple of weeks ago, I run into Ross and I bump into someone I had met before. We're doing the small talk and everything. How you been? Everything's okay with you? I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And you? Yeah. I said, you still work where you work? And he was like, yeah, intelligence, military intelligence, that is. Now, I tell you military intelligence because he told me where he worked at. He told me where he worked over dinner and some wine one night. You know, like I said, I don't believe in coincidences. Sometimes I believe people are sent your way or put into your path to either watch you or keep tabs on you. I don't know. But with me, it's always been special forces or intelligence, military special forces, military intelligence. So this gentleman I didn't, I mean, he was cool and everything, but I just, mm, no, I wasn't going down that path. But every now and again, it with the man from Ross, we'll call him the man from Ross. I met him at a grocery store first, and then pop up again, like in stores, right? Military intelligence. So last week, same thing. It's almost like I'm still here, and I'm still keeping tabs on you. So the talk was small, the talk was short, the talk was quick, and he went on his way. You know, bye, have a good day. But today I was at the laundromat, right? And my discernment is like on point to the ninth power. Okay. After I finished doing the live stream with you all, I said, well, I was really intending on coming and doing movie night, but it just didn't feel right. So I gathered myself, walked back into the laundromat to finish up. But as I'm walking in, there's a man, right? And he's walking in, but he has like a handful of clothes, just a handful. So I'm the type of person, it doesn't matter to me. I'll open the door, I'll help you, especially at the laundromat. People are, you know, pushing buggies, pulling laundry. They're struggling trying to open doors. So I was getting ready to reach for the door to open the door for him, but he opened the door for me first, right? And I was like, hello, Carla, welcome in. Um, it's interesting you said that. I was gonna touch on that, Carla, what you just said in the comments. Um, so, like I said, I was walking back into the laundromat, and this gentleman, he's walking up, a handful of clothes. And he wasn't really struggling, but I just felt it was polite just to open the door for him. So I reached to open the door, but he had already opened the door for me. He said, no, go ahead, you go first. And I was like, oh, I was getting ready to open the door for you. He said, oh, no, 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 you go ahead. And I instantly knew we were going to have a conversation. I knew it, but I played like I just was like, just do your laundry. Just do what you got to do, right? And so I mean, I had some laundry, y'all. You know, I'm sitting here struggling on the struggle bus, healing, and just like days are going by. I'm like, I gotta go wash these doggone clothes. And don't do it to yourself. Don't pile up no clothes because you be in that laundromat. Luckily, they got the jumbo machines, but that's still just like, it's torture. So I'm finished. I'm throwing this stuff into the dryers, right? And I go around to check the machine, my last machine, to make sure I got everything. And I'm watching. I always watch my surroundings. And I see him first. He's sitting there, like right when I'm getting all the first loads out of the machines. And he's just sitting there. I don't look directly at him, but I'm looking, trust and believe. And he's just sitting there looking. I was like, yeah, don't say nothing. Just keep moving, ethereal. So I go around, do that last check, get my detergent or whatever I have sitting on the last washer. He says, "You forgot something." And I'm playing smooth crazy. Forgot something where? I'm looking at my washers. You forgot something. And I'm like, what are you, huh? Because we're a distance away, right? He's on the other end of the laundromat. I'm down on the opposite end. You forgot something. He says it like 3 times. I'm like, what? And he points at his washing machine. I knew what he was talking about, but I'm going to play crazy. I'm telling you, I'm going to play crazy. And so I started laughing. I was like, oh. I said, no, sir. I said, I have enough to do right here. And he was like, oh, okay. No, I knew the small talk it was on its way. And so I reeled the little baskets on the wheels down to the dryers. And here he comes, coming around the corner. She'll be coming around the mountain, coming around the corner. He says, so all of this is you? I'm like, yes, it is. Here comes the small talk. And so he's like, oh, so what do you do? And I tell him what I do for a living. And I have no problem with that. I have no problem if it's the ops. Do you hear me? I have no problem if it's the devil. Do you hear me? Because if the devil was sent, he got to check to make sure he got the right target. Or if it's like Carla was saying, maybe it's the Most High God's protection, right? Let me put that up here. Let me get that up here. Let's put it up. There it is. So we're talking. He's talking. What do you do? I'm like, blah, blah, blah. I said, what do you do? Oh, prior military. Well, I'm getting ready. This is him. He's telling me he's getting ready to retire. He did 20 years. He has 20 years in. I said, oh. So I asked him, what does he do? Military, but I asked him in military terms. And he was taken aback. And he was like, oh, he said, intelligence. And I just knew. I was like, I don't know if it was the way I looked at him. I was like, oh. He said, yeah, intelligence. And then he started rattling off some other occupations that he held in the military, which you have to have a high, score on your ASVAB to obtain these occupations. In intelligence, you have to have clearance and all, special forces and intelligence has always crossed my path. Men. And so when I looked at him after he said intelligence, and I was like, oh. And he was like, oh, and medical field and this and that. And I was like, oh, I said, you have pretty good occupations you've held in the military. He's like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then he's talking, he moves closer to shake my hand and tell me his name. You know, one thing I'm going to have to start doing is I hate to not be, because I'm from Texas. I'm Southern. I mean, we likes to hug folks and, how you doing? We down south. We got Southern hospitality. It don't hold any sexual innuendos with it, but that's just how we do. So I shake his hand, and I instantly felt something, and I started. It took me aback, and then he moved to the side of me, but it felt like I don't know how to explain it, y'all. All I know is when I shook his hand, he moved to the side, and I'm aware of things that are out here in the world today, like different drugs and things that people can put on cards and different things like that. But most people wouldn't put it on their natural skin because it would affect them too. You understand? Like there's a drug that I think it's called Devil's Breath or something like that, that can put people under like a hypnosis type feel. Okay, but they don't put it on themselves. They will put it on a card. That's why they say if people leave cards on your cars, ladies or men too, um, uh, or hand you business cards at a certain angle, so that you can touch it, but they're not touching, because if they touch it, they would be affected. So it wasn't. It was just his plain handshake, but so I'm telling you, it wasn't like it was a drug on his hand. But when I shook his hand, um, I it was a feeling, okay? And I am big on transferring of energy and things of that nature and covering myself when I go out too. But when I felt that, I instantly started doubling up on the coverage right in my head. Cover me, block it, stop it, whatever it was. It gave me that mindset of, have y'all ever read the story in the Bible when Yahushua, when Jesus was walking through a massive crowd of people, and the lady with the issue of blood was trying to look for healing, and it was just a massive amount of people in this crowd, but she couldn't get to Jesus, but she touched the hem of his garment, and he instantly turned around and said, "Who touched me?" Do y'all know that story? If you know that story, put a 9 in the chat, because that's what it felt like. Because instantly, I just felt something, right? And I was like, it wasn't like a negative feeling. I don't want you to think that. It was something different. And so he came and he stood right beside me, not beside me, but like on the corner, like giving me space, not trying to make it feel intimidating, because it's a strange man in the laundromat, right? But there was another man in the laundromat. He looked like he was a mix between Spanish and Samoan, but more on the Spanish side, but more Samoan facial features, right? And I forgot to tell you, you got, oh, you understand, Carla. Okay, you got that 9 for me. Okay, so I forgot to mention this other man that was in the laundromat, because at first it was just me and 2 men in this laundromat. Because remember, I don't. If you saw my live stream, I was happy when I was there because the laundromat was empty, but people started pulling up, and I said, "Let me get back in here so I can get out, because I like it when it's empty." So I had to backpedal a little bit. So when I went back in, it was 2 men in the laundromat. It was the black man, and it was a Samoan Mexican looking man. Now, when I was getting my laundry and stuff, I'm backpedaling. I'm gonna bring y'all forward in a minute. when I was getting my laundry and stuff, taking it from the front to the back of the laundromat to put them on the wall dryers. If you've been in a laundromat, you know, okay? So, but this Mexican man kept crossing my path, and I was pushing the buggy, the laundry basket on wheels, and he crossed right in front of me, and I didn't see him at first because I had clothes hanging over the top, and then I looked and I was like, oh, I said, excuse me. He said, oh, no, 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 you're okay, and he went to the bathroom, and then he came right back out. He was just, darting around the laundromat suspiciously. Let's say you doing some suspicious walking around. You doing too much. Sit your tail down somewhere, okay? Um, but he kept walking around me, and then he walked past me, and then that's when I had to adjust Smith and Jerry. I call it Smith and Jerry, okay? And if you know, you know what I'm talking about. I had to do some adjustments because you moving a little too sporadically. It's a little Spanish guy. Now, as he's doing that, I've already had the conversation with this black guy who's talking to me, but he's moving closer and closer to me, and we're talking. And okay, so we're back up to present time in the laundromat. So I'm sitting down. This Hispanic looking guy, he's still hovering, but the black guy is moving closer towards me. But baby, I'm like, my bag is in my lap because I'm going to take two fellas up out of here in this laundry. This is what I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. That's just how it is nowadays. But like I said, the black guy is um, very cordial, but that don't mean nothing. Okay, ladies? Very cordial. But I'm telling you, when I shook his hand, it was something about me shaking this man's hand. And so after I shook his hand, I kind of sat there and I was looking, I was like, huh. And he crosses and he stands on the corner of like one of the washing machines, and but he's watching the Spanish guy, the mixed guy. He looked like I told you, Samoan and Spanish mix, because he's still trying to come over in my vicinity. But now the black guy, the intelligence, military intelligence, he is over, like hovering over me, but not over me, and he's looking at the Spanish guy because I turned my head to look at him, because he had asked me a question. He asked me how old I was, y'all. I said, Lord have mercy. So I turned my head to look at him, and I answered the question. But when I looked at him in his eyes, because I look people in their eyes, I looked at him in his eyes, he was not looking at me. He was looking at the Spanish guy, walking to and fro. And so I'm looking at him, and then I answered the question, and he looked back at me. He said, oh, okay. And then we were just talking. Um, he asked me, do I work out, go to the gym? Just like I said, water cooler talk, small talk. I said, no, but I need to. But I know if I pay for a gym membership, I ain't going to go, blah, blah, blah. But it made me think, damn, was he watching my live stream? Because I talked about the gym. I be thinking, my mind be clicking, y'all. And so steady having small talk. So he's standing there, and eventually the Spanish man leaves. He leaves from doing all that hovering and bouncing around beside me, right? And, and I mean, the questions that this military intelligence guy was asking me, like, he was telling me about, how many children he had, that they were grown. I mean, just a lot of small talk, but some detail to the small talk, if you will. And then I noticed that the Spanish guy is no longer there, and my clothes are dry. The last load of clothes that I need to get out has dried. And then, as abruptly as he started the conversation, the black guy, the military intelligence, he says, I just wanted to make sure I came over to speak to you before I leave here. And I was like, oh, okay. Now, normally, when guys do that small talk, like a small talk but lingering, they normally ask you for your phone number. How can Nope, nope, not at all. He was like, I just wanted to make sure I said hello before I leave. And I was like, oh, okay, well, hello. So he walks out to, I'm thinking he's leaving, right? And so he walks towards the front of the laundromat. And by his comment, I'm thinking he left. So I get my clothes, a first load of clothes, and the dry ones to take them to the car. And before I go out, now by this time it's dark outside, y'all. I don't see the Spanish man there no more. Okay, he done bounced. Now it's a couple. It's a mixed couple. It's a black woman with a Spanish or something Italian guy, like a couple. They in there, and I don't see the guy that was in there bouncing around. He gone, and so it's dark outside. So before I hit the door, good, and open that door, I peeps the scene out. And so I'm like, okay, this white car right here, this car right here. And then I'm walking slowly beside the car. I'm looking in the car, in the white car, because it's just sitting there running, right? And lo and behold, guess who's sitting in the car, y'all? If you know, you know, say intelligence is sitting in the car, right? Backed in. Intelligent with a gangster lean is backed in. If you know anybody, when folks back into a parking lot, they got a little gangster lean in their system. Or they military intelligence because they know how to get up in and out of there quick. Do you hear what I say? Gangster lean or military intelligence. When they back they car in, peep that out, sisters or brothers, okay? So, because his car was back then, it was a white car, and it was a couple, the little mixed couple. Uh, they had like a little SUV. So I'm walking between, but I already know the couple. They in the building. I need to see who was in this white car back then, sitting there. So I peep game. I'm like, oh, he hasn't even left yet. I said, okay. So but I'm still high on alert because why haven't you left? Because the last thing you said to me is that you want to say hello. I mean, yeah, hello, before you left the laundromat. But he's back there and he's just sitting in his car. So I get to the car. I got Mary Jane. She got a lot of names, y'all. Ready, locked and loaded. I ain't gonna lie to you. This is a true story. So sit back, buckle up, and hold on tight. Um, So I'm putting my clothes in, and when I tell you I had a whole lot of blankets and clothes and towels and just laundry. And so I'm putting it in the back seat, but I'm watching this this white car, and I know he watching me. Do you hear what I say? Because I'm looking every now and again over there, because it's easier to look through the front of the windshield than through the side, because most of the time they windows illegal tint. You hear me? You can't see. His tent was dog dang near illegal, but I was close enough to be able to see because he had a red hat and he had a baseball jersey. You know how they had them baseball fits? Yeah, I peeped everything he had on. Uh, so when I peeped into the window when I walked by, that's how I knew it was him in the car from the side window. But when I got to the front, I'm glad I had moved my car. If you watched my live earlier, y'all seen that I had moved my car because of the sunlight was hitting me in the face. That was the most I telling me, move that car over there, sister. Uh, so I moved my car. So now my car is basically in front of his car while he's backed in. So now I can see directly in the front. Ladies, look through the front windshield when you're trying to peep who the hell's in the car because they going to hide behind them side windows, okay? So I said, "Oh, this Negro's. Why is he still here?" He finished washing his clothes. 'Cause I told you he only had a handful when he came up in there. So I put my other stuff in the car, and I'm making sure everything is everything where I can be able to draw quick. Uh, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so I pushed my little stuff back around, go back in. I said, well, by the time I pack this up, he'll probably roll out. So I get my other stuff, the rest of the laundry, and I roll out, and then the little Spanish mixed couple, the little black woman and her Spanish boyfriend, her husband, whatever the case may be, she come behind me. She come opening the door, holding the door. I got you. I got you. I was like, oh, thank you. So I roll my stuff on out. This nigga still sitting in the parking lot with the car running, backed in with a gangster lean. Do you hear me, y'all? I'm like, this nigga still sitting here. Oh, hell to no. Mm-mm, mm-mm. So I packed up everything else, rolled that, but I'm walking cool. You ain't gonna see no panic on me. I'm walking cool, smooth. I push that stuff back in that. You gotta take your little cart stuff back in. Don't be lazy like you leave grocery carts and stuff in the parking lot. No, I take my stuff back in, park it. And I walk to the car, and he's still there. I look dead into that side window and into the front window, let him know I see you sitting here, nigga. Okay. I'm like, the military intelligence officer is still sitting here watching me. Why? So I get in the car, and then I'm looking at the scene because I'm trying. Ladies, don't think it's just, if you feel like you being watched or something, don't think it's just that one person. That's the decoy sometimes, okay? I pull out, I'm watching any car that's pulling out. After I pull out, getting ready to pull out, cross the street, up the street, down the street. You got to pay attention to all these angles, ladies. So I get ready, I roll, and I'm looking to see if his car go move. His car did not move. Y'all, I hit it, and I hit the highway, I-10 by 10. I'm down the road. And I'm thinking, but like Carly, like you said, sometimes I, sometimes it be the Most High sending folks too, because it always be either special forces or military intelligence. Now, I remember when I was a young woman, and I don't know if it was online or in some church sermon. I remember, you know what? It was online. It was online. This is when I first was waking up to the truth. It was Pastor Stephen Darby. I don't know if y'all knew him, but baby, he was good. They took him out though. They took Pastor Stephen Darby out. Baby, I was ready to go meet Pastor Stephen Darby in Dallas, Texas. And that when he had that trip planned, they announced he had passed away. I was hurt. Like I knew the man. I didn't even know the man personally, but I used to listen to him online, Pastor Stephen Darby. Y'all should look him up. Um, and I remember him saying, don't be so naive, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Because just like y'all sitting here decoding movies, like we're gonna do the movie night probably tomorrow night or this weekend. Don't worry, because we're gonna do that. But just like these people talking about what the Illuminati doing, and they got to put messages in the movie to tell you what they doing and yada yada yada. We always want to know what the wicked is doing, what the wicked is. You know what I'm saying? But I remember Pastor Stephen Darby says, when you vetting people, ask them who sent you, like straight up and down, because there are spiritual laws, and just like there's laws of the land. You know what I'm saying? And so I said that to say this. When I ask that gentleman, what you do for a living? What tell me about you. While you coming walking, slow walking up to me, military intelligence. They got to tell you what they do or Who sent you? And I remember that. I remember learning that from Pastor Stephen Darby. Who sent you? Ladies, men, vet people. What do you do? And I ask, what do you do? Because I was a military brat, right? But my thing is, when men come out of nowhere and they can have like a b-boy look to him, because that's how he looked tonight, like a b-boy style, right? But older, mature, but still, b-boy. Then don't let them fool you. They gonna blend right in. Who sent you? Or what do you do for a living? For real, for real. Military intelligence, special ops. Or they gonna tell you, ladies, you better ask the question. But I always wonder, what is up? Because this is the second time this week I've been visited by military intelligence. Or was it military intelligence? Or was it angels cloaked? Because he was there the whole time while I'm boasting and bragging that the laundromat is empty, but it wasn't really empty because there was just an oddball out bouncing around that laundromat, right? And there was a man who came in with a handful of clothes. Looked like he could have washed them in his sink at home and hung them out on the balcony to dry. That's how many clothes he had, y'all. Sometimes we got to look at the picture. And I mean, sit back, look at the bigger picture of it all. My question is, what's up with military intelligence coming into my life the second time this month? Because I know that's a given for me at this point in time. I'll be visited by them one way or the other. And sometimes it's a female. I remember when I was doing more driving for Uber, and I picked up a woman. She was a white woman. I'm just talking, we're just talking, conversating. And she says, basically, special forces. I asked her, I said, what do you do? Because she said she had just came back from a mission. I said, oh, a mission. When people talk like, I guess it's just me. Because, like I said, the army life just sticks to you like good home cooking. Sticks to your ribs for a little while. I said, a mission? Oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm special forces. I'm like, oh, well, I don't, baby, I'm going to ask 100 questions. Where was the mission at? And trust and believe, these people will talk to you. She told me she was a sniper. It just came back from Kuwait. I was like, really? Only woman sniper on her team can hit a man from, I don't even, she gave me the yardage, y'all. I, I know it was a ways away because they can't see these snipers when they hit. Okay, they be like miles away, damn near. I was like, oh, he's just talking. So it's good to talk to you. And I'm like, once I dropped her off, I'm like, do these people know me? Do these people know me? Are they watching me from a distance? Do these people know me? Because it's almost like they want to get close enough to speak to me or to shake my hand. It's very strange. Do you have people that come into your life with certain occupations? Have you ever noticed that? Well, I have, and I thought I would share that with you all tonight. You do, you have those visits too, Carla? They are men and women. Yep, yeah. It's very, it's very interesting that. But I thought I'd share that with you all. Um, and I was gonna listen to a video about the Nephilim and because there's so much talk about aliens coming in November, y'all. They got a date for the black aliens. It's so funny that they have a date. Isn't that interesting? But I'll probably play this and y'all can listen to it as long as you want to. I'll probably play half of it. I might talk in between it. But do you know what they were really looking for when they went to war over there in Kuwait? When they said they had weapons of mass destruction, when they knocked down the Twin Towers, when they sent special forces and military intelligence to Kuwait. Well, we're going to listen to why they went to Kuwait, really, though. I'm going to pull this up real quick. Because if you know anything, if you wonder what time it is, just like the disciples asked Jesus, Yahushua, how will we know when it's time, when you'll return, right? He said, it'll be as in the days of Noah. As in the days of Noah. And what happened in those days of Noah? There were giants that roamed the land, right? And so a lot of people think that these wars are just surface, that your military is fighting for. They're fighting for supremacy. They're fighting to stay. A lot of them, these reptilians, are fighting to stay in command. They're fighting tooth and nail because they do know that their time is ending. Okay? So let me pull this up. If y'all give me a minute. We're going to listen to a video really quick. Hold on. Let me move this so I can see. Let's see. Where's my history? I had it queued up, but we're gonna get it, y'all. I thought it was interesting for us to hear this. Some of you might find it interesting, some of you may not. There we go. Y'all know they killed. They had a battle in Kuwait with a real giant. They went to Kuwait not to find actual weapons of mass destruction, but to find DNA. Because just like in the days of Noah, they were slicing and dicing. They were playing with genetics, just like they're doing now. So I thought this would be interesting since I didn't really have movie night with you all tonight. Um, we're going to listen to this. They killed a giant. Get this queued up. Taliban roots, where human intelligence had previously. Run it back. Taliban fighters the upper hand in ambushes and disappearances. To fight in Kandahar was to fight in the shadows, often quite literally. A
American forces quickly learned this wasn't a war of tanks or air power. It was a war of stealth, survival, and stamina. Power on. In this war, elite U.S. The Bluetooth device is ready to pair. The Bluetooth device is connected successfully. Were classified, their movements quiet, their risks unparalleled. One particular tactical nightmare, cave-clearing operations. These required soldiers to enter narrow tunnels, unsure of what lay within. Taliban fighters could be waiting in pitch-black corridors, or worse, explosives rigged to trap doors or tripwires. According to retired Green Beret Major John Plaster, cave fighting was some of the most psychologically stressful combat soldiers endured. You were crawling into the enemy's home turf.
Let me pause
you didn't
real
know
quick
if the
on
next
this.
step would...
We're going to be listening to the fight of the redhead giant that they fought in Kandahar when the war started in Kuwait, and then they spread out looking for DNA of these giants because they want to speed it up. They want to build up their armies for the battle of Armageddon. Okay. I wanted to address your comment, Carla. The 3 days of darkness is coming. Fallen angels and Nephilim is coming to earth. That's right, sister. Um, don't be caught on outdoors. That's right. Let me say something. I talked about the 3 days of darkness because people say, well, it doesn't say anything uh, in the Bible about the 3 days of darkness, but it does. It really does. Um, and as you, as the tribes of Israel, we are getting ready to go into another Exodus. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Okay. And I know it does not say the 3 days of darkness, this, and this, but you have to look at the Bible also as a puzzle. You know what I'm saying? And people want things to say everything outright and direct. But it does say something about the 3 days of darkness. Does anybody know where in the Bible? If you look at the Bible, I want you to look at it with your Israel eyes. Do you see anywhere in the Bible where it mentions 3 days of darkness? We're gonna pause for a minute. I want to see if anybody has thought about that. Because I know people wanted to be so conventional and say it just outright. Carla brought this up, and I want to point that out because it's very true. The 3 days of darkness is very likely, especially for the children of Israel. I'm giving you hints. Like I've given people hints before. I see things in puzzles. I see things in sequence. Okay. Well, let me give you a hint. Was there 3 days in darkness in the Bible? Yes. Carla says yes. It talks about it in the Bible. Of course it does. Especially if you're Israel, if you're part of the three tribes, I mean 12 tribes of Israel. And especially in this day and time, you should realize that there's going to be a second Exodus. And the plagues that fell on Egypt, there were different plagues, right? And there was a plague of darkness. That's right. Darkness so dense and so dark. You were not to go out. And the only ones that had light in their homes were the tribes of the 12 tribes of Israel. Right? Have we forgotten about Passover? Have we forgotten about um, putting the blood over the mantle and how death passed them over. Have we forgotten about these plagues of Egypt? There is where you will find your 3 days of darkness, because darkness did fall upon the land in Egypt. And you, my brothers and sisters, you are living in spiritual Egypt. And just like Jesus said, these things will repeat. So there is 3 days of darkness in the Bible, and it was amongst the plagues of Egypt. Yes, hallelujah. So we're going to listen to this. This is just a story. I don't actually know how long it is. I probably won't play the whole thing. I'll probably play half of it today, maybe half of it tomorrow. But I want you to know the real reason why they went into Kuwait, why they said, why former President George Bush said, we're fighting because they have weapons of mass destruction. They wanted DNA. They wanted those weapons of mass destruction so that they can take DNA and Nephilim down to their underground caverns so that they can build weapons of mass destruction and bring your Jurassic Parks back to life so they can be ready for the battle of Armageddon. So let me run this back really quick. This is one of the battles that took place in Kandahar. Let me run it up because I want that music
Taliban fighters the upper hand in ambushes and disappearances. To fight in Kandahar was to fight in the shadows, often quite literally. Let your lungs breathe the way they want to breathe.
Oh my goodness.
Let your mind think anything it wants to think about.
Commercials.
Don't try. American forces quickly learned this wasn't a war of tanks or air power. It was a war of stealth, survival, and stamina. And in this war, elite U.S. military units, Green Beret...
Carla, you keep making me pause, girl, because you have some good advice. Let me say this. 3 days of darkness. If that, and I say if, when that plague does hit, because we do know it also says the stars and moons and will not give their light, right? If that plague hits, do not take your behind outside. Do you hear me? Or if and when. Candles is very good. To have on deck. I have emergency candles on deck. On deck. Don't be one of them virgins without your oil in your lamp. And that's figuratively and literally. Don't look out no windows. If folks come knocking at your door, don't open your door. You heard me? I'm not trying to scare you. Just don't open your door. I don't care if it sounds like your brother, sister. If you called and said some things look kind of crazy, y'all might want to get over here on this side of town. If you ain't here by 5 o'clock, I can't help you. I'm not opening my door for nobody. I'm not looking out no windows. I'm not doing nothing but staying on my knees praying. You heard me? Okay, we're gonna get back into this fight in Kandahar. They killed the redhead giant. Did they kill him for that DNA? Or did they really kill him? Or did they take him down to those underground caverns that they have, getting ready for the Battle of Armageddon?
Navy SEALs, Delta Force, took center stage. Their missions were classified, their movements quiet, their risks unparalleled. One particular tactical nightmare, cave-clearing operations. These required soldiers to enter narrow tunnels, unsure of what lay within. Taliban fighters could be waiting in pitch-black corridors, or worse, explosives rigged to trap doors or trip wires. According to retired Green Beret Major John Plaster, cave fighting was some of the most psychologically stressful combat soldiers endured. You were crawling into the enemy's home turf. You didn't know if the next step would be your last. The US military called these spider holes and rat nests claustrophobic underground lairs with only one rule. Whoever waited inside had the advantage. At the same time, intelligence was often unreliable. In many parts of rural Afghanistan, tribal loyalties ran deeper than national ones. Locals might inform on insurgents or mislead US forces into a trap. What was supposed to be a sweep and clear operation could quickly turn into a last stand. Within this environment of darkness, stress, and silence, stories began to circulate. Stories not about Taliban ambushes or IEDs, but about something stranger. By 2002, several special operations teams were conducting deep reconnaissance missions into unexplored regions of Kandahar's mountain ranges. Many of these ops never made the news. Some barely made the logs. But among soldiers, certain whispers began to surface. Whispers of something inhuman, something ancient. And one of those whispers became a legend, fueled not by rumor, but by a specific detailed account. One told not by an anonymous Redditor, but by a man who claimed to have served on the ground, face to face with something he claimed no human should ever see. The encounter would become known, online and in fringe circles, as the story of the Kandahar giant. Unlike other battlefield legends, this one would name a time, a place, and the exact details of what happened. Even more remarkably, it would never be officially debunked. But to understand this story, we have to follow it from the beginning. From a missing patrol to a special ops recovery team, and into the heart of a dark cave in Kandahar, where the enemy, according to one man, wasn't human at all. In the spring or early summer of 2002, US Special Operations Forces were tasked with conducting a cave clearing mission in a remote mountainous area near Kandahar, Afghanistan. At the time, this was not unusual. The region was saturated with insurgent hideouts, and the US military was methodically rooting them out, one cave system at a time. According to a later interview published by L.A. Marzulli, a fringe researcher known for his Watchers documentary series, a man claiming to be a retired Special Forces operator came forward with an extraordinary account of one such mission. The man, whose face was obscured and voice altered to protect his identity, recounted a cave operation unlike any other. Though Marzulli never released the soldier's real name, he introduced him as someone who had served multiple tours and participated in classified missions throughout the Middle East. According to this unnamed soldier, the story began with the sudden disappearance of an entire US military squad. They'd gone missing in the mountains. No radio communication, no distress signals, he told Marzulli. Just gone. This type of disappearance was rare, but not unprecedented. In the early years of the war, communication gear often failed in mountainous terrain. But this case felt different. The missing unit was reportedly comprised of highly trained special forces, men who were unlikely to simply vanish. The military, according to the account, dispatched a quick reaction force, QRF, another special operations team.
And let me say something because I have to talk in between this, right? Because this is, you know, other people's material. Special forces, intelligence, these people are on a whole different level. Okay? Everybody's not going to become special forces. Everybody's not going to become a Navy SEAL. They on a whole different level mentally. Special clearances, all that. So I just find it very just interesting that either one, either one keeps popping up in my life in different times. But this month, two Army intelligence coming up, that threw me. That's why we're having this conversation tonight, because I couldn't sleep. It's on my mind. And so we're just going to listen to this. Maybe this will help me go to sleep, but just also give you a little information about, special forces, intelligence. They do stuff that, you know, the regular army just ain't doing and not reporting on. You'll hear it years and years later, like you're hearing this report.
To locate the lost soldiers. The recovery mission involved helicopter insertion into a remote highland region, not far from known Taliban routes, where human intelligence had previously suggested cave usage. What they found, the soldier claimed, was unsettling. Bob was a railroad worker for 15 years.
Turn this down. Shall we skip this commercial?
Especially for us, especially for black folk.
I done skipped the whole doggone video. Hold on, y'all. All right.
Backpacks, ammunition, scraps of clothing, U.S. military issue. But no bodies, no blood, nothing that made sense. Near the mouth of a large cave, they located what appeared to be a hastily dropped communications device and portions of a standard issue rucksack. The terrain around the cave had been disturbed, trampled, but there were no obvious tracks leading in or out. Expecting a Taliban ambush or possible booby traps, the team established a perimeter and began evaluating the cave's entrance. The soldier emphasized how eerily quiet the area was. No movement, no sound. Even the birds were absent. According to him, they were preparing to breach the cave when things took a dark and unexpected.
Let me say something. For folks that don't like animals, y'all better get to liking animals and hearing birds chirp. Man, you need to pay attention to see if a cricket makes sound. If it's eerily dark, danger awaits, or danger is in that area. Do you hear what I say to you? You better pay attention to these animals. If there's nothing, you can't even hear the owl go, hoo, hoo. You better run and get up out of there, because you don't know what's in the area, okay?
Turn. Marzulli pressed him in the interview, asking if they had any warning. The man simply said, none. It happened fast. In standard military practice, cave entrances are approached with caution. Spotters provide overwatch. Entry teams are backed by quick-fire support. But in this case, all of that, he claimed, wasn't enough. The soldier described an unidentified entity emerging from the cave before they could fully enter. And in an instant, one of their own, identified only as Dan, was struck down. According to the interviewee, this was no human enemy. It was something else. But what that...
It was definitely something else. But Carla, I feel you on that last comment, my girl. Because like I said, when I shook that man saying it was something different, it was something different. And when I touch people, I could just feel, I just be telling y'all, when I came into my awakening, it was something different. And that's why I felt tonight at that laundromat, and that wasn't normal. That was protection, okay? Protection for the complexion of the collection, okay? And I'm talking about the brown collection. Holler back. Let's go.
Something would not become clear until the team opened fire and faced one of the strangest combat encounters ever described by a modern soldier. That event, known now in legend as the Kandahar giant encounter, would become the most infamous part of the story. But in that moment, on that ridgeline, it was still a fight for survival, and the firefight was just beginning. According to the former Special Operations soldier interviewed by L.A. Marzulli, what emerged from the cave that day was not human, at least, not in any ordinary sense. It was a giant, the man said flatly, a literal giant. The soldier described the creature as standing between 12 and 15 feet tall, towering over the team of hardened professionals who had come prepared for close quarters combat. The figure had red hair, a thick reddish beard, and most disturbingly, 6 fingers on each hand. A detail that would later become one of the most consistently repeated aspects of the encounter. Wielding what was described as a massive spear-like weapon or elongated blade, the being charged at the team with terrifying speed and force. In the confusion, one soldier, known only by the name Dan, was impaled and killed instantly. He didn't have time to react, the soldier recalled. It went straight through him. The team responded as trained, immediately opening fire with their M4 carbines, possibly backed by SAW Squad automatic weapon support. The soldier estimated that they fired for 30 full seconds, unloading magazines directly into the entity's upper body and head. It was like it didn't want to go down, he said. We were shooting and shooting, just trying to stop it. It finally dropped after we concentrated fire on its face. This intensity of sustained fire aligns with standard engagement protocols when facing a highly mobile or high-threat target, particularly in enclosed terrain where backup may be minimal. When the creature finally fell, the soldiers approached cautiously, still unsure what they had just encountered. It was then, the soldier claimed, that the team got a closer look. It wasn't like a man on stilts or anything like that. This was a biological being. Skin, hair, facial features, massive size, thick bones, and it had 6 fingers and 6 toes. This last detail, the polydactyly, is notable because it recurs in many later retellings of the story and has also appeared in ancient legends and fringe archaeological claims. However, in this
Let me
case...
say something. A lot of people that have genetics of Nephilim DMA, they do have like 6 fingers, 6 toes, and a second row of teeth. I mean, you would see that in today's society, although they're not giants, but they have that DNA within their system. Okay, let's continue. This is a true story. All right, Carla, you out. Peace and blessing to you, sister. Good night.
It came directly from a supposed first-hand account. Marzulli, while listening, asked whether it could have been a mutated human or a deformed enemy combatant. No, the soldier replied. There was no way this was human, not like us. Not something you'd ever see in combat before. After securing the body, the team radioed their base of operations. What happened next was just as strange as the encounter itself. The soldier said they were instructed to secure the area and await immediate airlift, not just for their own extraction, but for the body. Within hours, a CH-47 Chinook helicopter arrived, carrying a specialized team and a large reinforced cargo net. The thing weighed over 1,000 pounds, he said. It took all of us to help get it loaded. The helicopter had to adjust for the weight. Once loaded, the giant's corpse was flown out, destination unknown. The soldiers' team was told to remain silent, and when they returned to base, they were met not with debriefings or medals, but with strict orders never to speak of the event again. We were told it didn't happen, he said. We were warned not to talk about it, not to even mention it to each other. There were no reports filed, no official statements made, and according to the soldier, even the internal logs for the operation were purged or sealed.
That's true. Hold on, y'all. That's true. If you think the Army is telling y'all, or any Air Force, Army, Marine is telling y'all exactly what it's about when they're out there on those missions, think again. Okay? Those men have seen things you would probably have nightmares to this day about. Let's continue.
Privately, reluctantly, and begin telling the story of the giant in Kandahar. According to the unnamed Special Forces soldier, interviewed by L.A. Marzulli, the moments following the firefight with the Kandahar giant were nearly as surreal as the encounter itself. After the 12 to 15-foot humanoid figure collapsed from concentrated gunfire, the recovery phase began. The soldier said the team called in a helicopter extraction, but not for a typical mission completion or casualty evacuation. This call was different. We needed heavy lift capability, he recalled. The body was massive, easily over 1,000 pounds. The helicopter that arrived was a CH-47 Chinook, a dual-rotor transport aircraft used by the US military for lifting troops and equipment in rugged environments. The craft reportedly landed near the ridge, its engines thundering across the otherwise silent terrain. What stood out to the soldiers wasn't just the Chinook, but the additional personnel on board, individuals the witness described as not regular military. They weren't wearing standard uniforms, he said. No insignia, no name tags, just sterile clothing and serious expressions. They came in, looked at the body, and gave no explanation. The team assisted in wrapping the body in a large cargo net, reinforced with straps and cables. According to the soldier, the body had to be maneuvered with extreme effort due to its weight and size. The aircraft's crew worked fast. No photos, no questions. When asked by Marzulli where the helicopter was headed, the soldier said they were told the cargo was being flown to a base in Germany, most likely Ramstein Air Base.
Ramstein Air Base, baby. That's where everybody flies into. Well, back in the day they did. Ramstein Air Base. I've been there. Been there, done that twice.
The operations. But what happened after that was never disclosed. There was no trace of it after that, the soldier said. No paperwork, no follow-up. After returning to base, the team expected a standard post-op debrief. Instead, they were greeted by classified briefings and a strict non-disclosure protocol. We were told this did not happen, the man recalled. It was like the whole...
And we're going to stop right here for tonight. They were told it never happened. You didn't just kill a giant, and we didn't just take it away to our underground Air Force bases. No, 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 no. And you wonder why men come back with PTSD. And baby, if you married to special ops or intelligence, God bless you. And if you are special ops, military intelligence, well, definitely, God bless you, one and all. We're going to continue this. They killed a giant in Kandahar. Did you know that? All right, guys, I'm out, and much love.